Hannah Cole had delivered food to drunk students, night shift miners, and lonely office workers, but she had never delivered to a man covered in blood, sitting against a warehouse wall in the cold Australian night, holding two newborn twins and staring at her with glowing silver eyes. His suit was torn, his chest rising in shallow, painful breaths. The babies were wrapped in nothing but thin blankets, crying so softly it made her stomach twist. When she stepped closer, the man lifted his head, and she saw the fangs. Real ones. Sharp, trembling, starving. "Don't come any closer," he whispered, voice breaking. "If I lose control, I won't stop." But when one of the infants whimpered, Hannah instinctively reached out, and the impossible happened. The baby stopped crying the moment her hand touched him. The man stared at her like he had seen a ghost, and with a shaking voice he said, You're the one they were warning me about, the warm blood, the one who can hide the heirs." Before Hannah could ask what that meant, before she could run or scream or drop the food bag still in her hand, shadows moved across the rooftop above them. Men, not men, something else. That was the moment Hannah realized the truth. This wasn't a mistaken delivery. She'd been lured here, and the man bleeding on the ground wasn't human. He was the vampire king of the Southern Hemisphere, and whoever was hunting him was now hunting her too. Before we dive back into the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be sharing another exciting story tomorrow, and you definitely don't want to miss it. An hour earlier, Hannah was just a broke delivery driver trying to survive another night in Perth. Her phone battery at 9%, her scooter making a dying raccoon sound, her rent overdue, her little sister calling every day asking if she was okay. Life had worn her down so much she barely recognized herself anymore. So when the food app pinged with a large order and an extra $200 tip attached, she didn't question it. Not the strange drop-off location. Not the message asking her to come to the back entrance instead. Not the eerie silence of the industrial district. She needed the money. That was all she cared about. But as she crossed the empty loading bay, the hairs on her arms rose. Something felt wrong. Too still. Too quiet. Then she saw him. The pale man with hair like cold moonlight. Suit torn, chest drenched in blood, holding two tiny babies who looked impossibly fragile in the night wind. He wasn't supposed to be alive, and she wasn't supposed to find him. Hannah thought she had stumbled into a crime scene, but when he looked up at her with eyes that glowed like polished silver, she knew this was something else, something ancient, something dangerous. And when the shadows on the rooftops shifted and the twins instinctively curled toward her heartbeat, one thing became painfully clear. Hannah Cole's quiet, struggling life was over. She had just stepped into a centuries-old war, and whether she liked it or not, the Vampire King's fate, and the fate of his newborn heirs, was now tied to hers. Hannah didn't run. She should have. Every instinct in her body told her to. But the twins were shivering in the cold, their tiny fists curled tight against their blankets. Something primal in her shifted. Fear didn't disappear. It simply moved aside for something stronger. She crouched down, keeping her hands visible. "Let me help," she whispered. The man's jaw clenched, veins darkening beneath his skin, as if his own blood was fighting against him. "You don't understand," he rasped. "If I touch you, if I breathe too deeply, I might—" A sharp whistle cut through the air from the rooftop. The shadows moved again. Hannah flinched. The man cursed under his breath. "They found us," he said. "Us." The word hit her like a blow. He tightened his grip on the babies, panic flickering across his expression for the first time. "Listen to me, take them. If they get me, they cannot get the heirs." The heirs? Hannah froze. This wasn't a mugging. This wasn't some gang shooting. This was so much bigger. I don't even know who you are," she stammered. His eyes flashed silver. "Adrian Thorne, king of the Southern bloodline." That should have made her laugh, or scream, or faint. Instead, she heard herself say, "Okay, I'm Hannah." Another whistle. Closer this time. Adrian's head snapped toward the sound. "We're out of time." He struggled to stand but collapsed to one knee, agony ripping through his body. Hannah moved on instinct, slipping an arm under him to keep him from hitting the ground. His skin was ice cold, colder than the twins. "They laced the blade with silver," he murmured, voice fading. "I can't heal, not fast enough." Hannah didn't know what silver poisoning meant for vampires. She didn't have the luxury to ask. "Can you walk?" she asked. "No." "Can you crawl?" He gave a weak, humorless laugh. "Barely." Good enough. Adrenaline surged through her veins as she shifted her grip, lifting one baby against her chest, then the other. The twins quieted instantly, curling into her warmth. Adrian stared, wide-eyed, breath-catching. "They chose you," he whispered. Hannah didn't know what that meant. She didn't want to know. She just knew they had to move. A spotlight suddenly swept across the loading dock. Hannah's heart stopped. Footsteps echoed from the metal staircase. Too heavy to be human, too fast. Adrian's voice sharpened. "Hannah, warehouse now!" She didn't think. She didn't breathe. She ran, the twins pressed against her chest as she shoved open the rusted door and slipped into the darkness. Behind her, Adrian dragged himself after her, one hand gripping the concrete, the other pressed to his bleeding side. The metal door slammed shut. And in the suffocating darkness, with enemies closing in on all sides, Hannah heard Adrian whisper the words that would change everything. "Now you know who I am." But Chapter 2 begins with you learning what's coming for us. The warehouse swallowed them whole. No lights, no windows, just the smell of rust, cold concrete, and old machinery sleeping in the shadows. Hannah's breath echoed louder than she liked. The twins pressed into her chest, their warmth the only thing grounding her. Behind her, Adrian dragged himself forward, silver-infused blood dripping in slow, cruel drops. Every movement seemed to tear something inside him. He winced, but tried to hide it. He failed. A faint thud came from outside, then another. Heavy, calculated. Hannah curled protectively over the twins. "Are they human?" "No," Adrian whispered, "and they won't wait long." Her pulse hammered so loudly, she was sure the creatures outside could hear it through the walls. She looked around, letting her eyes adjust. Metal shelving, broken crates, a forklift rusted in place like a skeleton. No real cover. "We need to keep moving," she said. Adrian let out a bitter breath. "You're unusually calm for someone who just met monsters." "I did 3 years in nursing school," she muttered. "Panic doesn't save lives." Adrian stared at her as though she had spoken a prophecy, but he wasn't wrong to worry. Something was wrong with the twins. They were too quiet now, trembling lightly against her. One of them gave a tiny whimper. Adrian noticed instantly. "Why are they shaking?" Hannah pulled the blankets aside. The smaller twins' lips were faintly blue. Adrian swore under his breath. "The formula. Did you bring any packets?" "In my bag," she whispered. "Get it, now." Hannah crouched, balancing both infants, fumbling through her delivery bag until she found the formula packet. Adrian tore it open with his teeth and sniffed it. He froze. Then he spat the powder out immediately. It's poisoned, he said, voice tightening. Laced with iron oxide and wolfsbane. Hannah's eyes widened. That'll kill them? It's meant to, he whispered, to flush us out, to force us into the open. Hannah didn't hesitate. She laid one baby across her lap and tipped him forward. Her hands moved on instinct, sternum rub, cheek flick, clearing the airway. Muscle memory from a past she thought she left behind. The baby gagged weakly. No, come on, she whispered, voice trembling now. Stay with me, little guy. She found an old water jug nearby, emptied it, tore apart a tube from a broken humidifier, and began assembling a crude gastric flush system. Adrian watched her work, stunned, hopeful, terrified. Hannah, he whispered, you shouldn't know how to do this. I dropped out of nursing, she said through clenched teeth. Not because I couldn't handle the work, because I couldn't afford to stay. She inserted the tube gently. The baby retched. A moment later, milky poison spilled out. The infant's breathing steadied. Adrian exhaled shakily, genuine awe filling his voice. You just saved the heir to my throne. Before Hannah could reply, the warehouse door shook violently, once, then again. This time, the creatures didn't bother hiding. They had found the vampire king, and the human girl now tied to his fate. The metal door buckled inwards, hinges groaning under immense force. Dust rained from the ceiling as something slammed into it again, harder, angrier. Adrian dragged himself into a crouch, one hand pressed to the wound in his side. We can't stay here. Hannah swallowed hard. Where do we go? They're outside. Then we go deeper. Adrian pointed toward the far end of the warehouse where a sliver of darkness hinted at a stairwell leading down. There's an access tunnel for old delivery trucks. It may still be open. May? She hissed. He offered her a ghost of a smirk. Optimism doesn't run in my species. The door slammed again, metal beginning to tear. Hannah adjusted her grip on the twins and ran. Adrian followed, his steps uneven, each one accompanied by a muffled groan of pain. Even weakened, he moved with supernatural speed, just not enough to outrun his own blood loss. They reached the stairwell, rusted railings, dust thick on the steps. Hannah hurried down, breathing hard. Adrian followed, clutching the wall for support. Halfway down, a cold realization struck Hannah. Adrian, who betrayed you? You said someone in your council. His jaw clenched. Marcus Vale. And he wants the babies. He wants the throne, Adrian said darkly. And killing the heirs is the fastest path to power. He paused, sighing bitterly. He was like a brother to me. Hannah stared at him. Why would he turn on you? Adrian didn't answer at first. They reached the bottom of the stairs. The underground corridor stretched out before them, lit only by emergency bulbs, flickering like dying fireflies. He envied what I have, Adrian finally murmured. A kingdom, Hannah guessed. No. Adrian brushed trembling fingers against the forehead of one twin. Family. Before she could respond, footsteps echoed above, multiple pairs, moving fast. They were coming. A low hum filled the corridor. Adrian stiffened. Someone activated the surveillance grid. Hannah's stomach dropped. Meaning, we're not alone down here. They moved quickly. Hannah carrying the twins, Adrian forced to lean on her whenever his strength failed. The corridor twisted through old storage rooms, forgotten loading bays, and dusty archives. Every so often, Adrian stopped to listen. Every time he did, his expression worsened. More of them? Hannah whispered. Yes, he murmured. But not just assassins. He inhaled sharply. My own guards. Your guards? She whispered in disbelief. He nodded grimly. Marcus turned them. Before Hannah could process that betrayal, a figure stepped from the shadows ahead, tall, broad-shouldered, eyes glowing faintly gold. Adrian froze. So it's true, the man said softly. You survived. Adrian's voice hardened. Liam, move. I can't. The man's expression twisted with guilt. Marcus gave the order. I have to take the heirs. Hannah tightened her grip on the twins. You'll have to go through me. Liam looked at her and flinched. The warm blood. Adrian, what have you done? Adrian stepped forward despite the pain. Protected what little I have left. Liam hesitated. Then, from behind him, more footsteps. He wasn't alone, and this time, Hannah realized with a cold ripple of dread, only one side was walking out of this tunnel alive. The corridor tightened around them, its air going thin as Liam stepped fully into view. Behind him, faint silhouettes gathered. 3, maybe 4 more vampires. Their eyes glowed like animals cornering prey. Hannah clutched the twins closer. Their tiny bodies trembled against her chest. Adrian leaned forward, voice low, dangerous, king-like despite his wound. Liam, if you ever had loyalty to me, walk away. Liam's jaw clenched. His hands shook. You don't understand. Marcus promised safety for my coven. If I refuse, he'll slaughter them. Hannah's heart twisted. This wasn't some mindless monster. He was trapped, just as much a victim. But the urgency in Adrian's voice was ice-cold. You think he'll keep his promise? Marcus doesn't spare anything he fears. He pointed weakly toward Hannah. And he fears them, the heirs, and he fears her. Liam's eyes flicked to Hannah, uncertain, almost reverent, as if he sensed what she was becoming. But then the other vampires stepped forward, fangs exposed. Orders are orders, one hissed. No more talking. Adrian shoved Hannah backward. Run! When I say now, run! Adrian, do it! Then everything happened at once. Liam lunged, not at Hannah, but at the vampire beside him, slamming him into the wall so hard the concrete cracked. The other 2 attackers rushed forward, claws slicing through the air. Adrian moved in a blur, but his weakened body couldn't keep pace. A claw raked across his shoulder, sending him crashing to the ground. Blood sprayed the wall. Adrian! Hannah screamed. Instinct overrode fear. She tightened her hold on the twins and ran, down the corridor, past crumbling storage rooms, deeper into the darkness. Behind her, chaos exploded, growls, snarls, bones cracking, bodies slamming into steel doors. She didn't look back. Adrian's voice echoed down the corridor. Hannah, now! She sprinted, breath burning her lungs. The babies whimpered softly, sensing the danger, curling into her heartbeat. Ahead, she spotted a metal door with a cracked sign. Sub-level exit. Maintenance only. She rammed it with her shoulder. It jammed. She shoved again, harder, harder. It clicked open. She slipped through, stumbling into a massive underground loading tunnel lined with old mining carts and broken tracks. A cold draft blew through. Behind her, silence. Not good. She turned. Adrian staggered into view, limping, shirt soaked in blood, carrying Liam's unconscious body over his shoulder. Hannah stared. You saved him? He saved you first. Adrian dropped Liam gently. He bought us seconds, that's all. A low rumble echoed from deeper in the tunnel. Not footsteps, engines, more hunters, more soldiers, maybe even Marcus himself. Adrian looked at Hannah, really looked at her. You can still walk away. No, she whispered, throat tight. I'm not leaving the babies, and I'm not leaving you. Something raw flickered through his eyes. Gratitude, fear, something else. Then the engines grew louder. Adrian took her hand. "For the rest of this night," he said, voice steadying, "you stay with me, and whatever come, we face it together." And Hannah nodded, because she already knew there was no turning back. The war for the Vampire King's bloodline had found her. And she wasn't running anymore. Engines roared toward them, a low, monstrous growl vibrating through the tunnel walls. The lights flickered. Dust trembled off the ceiling. Adrian tensed, eyes narrowing. "Marcus sent the Reapers." Hannah swallowed. "That doesn't sound friendly." "They aren't." His voice grew cold. "They're executioners." Liam groaned on the ground, barely conscious. "Go, he'll kill you both." Adrian placed a trembling hand on Liam's shoulder. "You bought us time. I won't forget." But there was no more time left. A convoy of 3 black vehicles burst from the darkness. Their headlights swept across the tunnel, blinding Hannah. Shadows spilled out of the doors. Tall, armored figures with silver-lined weapons designed to tear through vampire flesh. Marcus's soldiers. Hannah stepped back, heart pounding so hard she felt it in her teeth. Adrian moved in front of her, shielding her and the twins with what little strength he still had. The soldiers stopped 10 meters away. Then one stepped forward. Marcus. Elegant, immaculate, smiling like a serpent. "Well," he said softly, "you survived longer than expected, old friend." Adrian's voice sharpened, icy and regal. "This ends tonight." "Oh, it does," Marcus replied, "but not how you imagine." His gaze slid to Hannah, a human, a shaking girl in delivery clothes, holding the 2 infants who determined the future of a kingdom. "A warm blood," Marcus murmured. "How poetic. Of all humans in Australia, you found her." Hannah stiffened. Adrian stepped closer to her, almost touching. Marcus continued, voice dripping smugness. "Give me the heirs, Adrian. I'll make their deaths painless, and you can fade quietly into legend." "No," Adrian growled. Marcus's smirk widened. "Then I'll take them myself." He snapped his fingers. The Reapers surged forward. Adrian didn't hesitate. He lunged, wounded, half dying, but filled with the king's fury. He moved like a shadow tearing itself apart, blocking blows meant for Hannah, ripping weapons from armored hands, taking hits no wounded vampire should survive. Hannah backed up, clutching the twins, heart breaking with every sound of Adrian's pain. A Reaper broke through the chaos, sprinting straight toward her. Hannah screamed, and the twins screamed with her. The air shook. The lights burst. A shockwave blasted down the tunnel, hurling the Reaper across the tracks. Every creature froze. Adrian turned, stunned. The twins' eyes glowed, soft gold, the unmistakable mark of awakened heirs. Marcus stumbled, disbelief twisting his face. "Impossible! They're too young." Hannah held them tighter, trembling. "Stay away from them," Marcus hissed. "She's triggering them. Kill her!" Adrian roared, a sound that didn't belong to a man but to something ancient, royal, unstoppable. He tore through the Reapers with the last burning shred of his power, but it wasn't enough. He fell to one knee. Marcus approached, razor-edged smile returning. "Goodbye, Adrian." Hannah stepped between them. Marcus blinked. "Move." "No." Her voice didn't shake, not anymore. She lifted her chin. "If you want these babies, you'll have to kill me." Marcus raised his blade. The twins screamed again. The tunnel shook, and something ancient awoke inside Hannah's blood, lighting her veins in gold. Adrian's eyes widened. "Hannah, what are you?" She didn't know. But the war for the throne had just changed forever.